This is Irontrader, and this is Midday Trading. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to look at some candlestick patterns for bullish and for bearish. And then we're going to look at some charts here, actually chart patterns, bullish activity and a bearish activity. Something just a little bit different here, just to catch you up on everything that was happening. Okay, this video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation to buy, selling stock, market, ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Okay, we're going to start off with some candlestick patterns here, okay? Some bullish and some bearish, and then we have some neutrals, okay? Now, I always talk about this here, okay? What I call this is an indecision candle because it doesn't really know which way it wants to go. The same way with this. That doesn't mean that this is bearish or like this is bullish kind of a situation here. So again, you always have to take care of look like the neutral kind of a situation, but this will be like a little bit of refresher. So when we have this bullish, we have this hammer, which means it comes all the way on down, and then we have that nice good hammer situation. Then we have this inverted hammer where the rallies all up here, but the candle stays green. Okay, now here we have a continuation pattern. Okay, so you got three bullish area, but you got to be careful up here because a lot of times you can get that red candle, and then that's what takes it right back down again. Okay, so this is what we had here. Now we had this basically, and I think it was on the Bitcoin there, where we had this engulfing candle, except it was just the opposite of what this is. Now, what it is you have a red candle, and then we have this bullish engulfing, which means you make a lower low, and then you just swallow the previous day's candle, and that takes it right on up here, and that shows you that you have a good bullish trend going here, okay? Now, we have this tweezer bottom, okay? So when you see these two little stickies on the bottom here, you always look at that tweezer bottom, okay? And we have the same thing inverted here, like on the top. But again, when you see that tweezer bottom, that's usually a time to say that's going to go a long kind of a situation, okay? Now, here we basically have is a almost like a bull flag, okay? So you have a nice big green candle, and this is like what we had like in natural gas, okay? Where you have them, it's selling off here with a little series of lower hard, and then we get that green one, and then it just rallies and rips right on up, okay? Now, here we have that morning star, okay? So you get a red candle, and then we get that, like what I call that indecision, doesn't really know what to do, then we get a green candle, and that says that that's bullish, okay? Now, when we have these three stars here, what we do is we look at, you can see how small the candles get, okay? So you have a big red candle, smaller one, and smaller one. That tells you that's going to be a reversal pattern, okay? Now this here basically is a bull flag, okay? Where you have your nice big flag, and then we're coming on down. It never hits the bottom there, and then she just smacks right on up very, very nicely. Now, here we have the bearish patterns, okay? So it's pretty much like the hammer, but we have a hangman because what we have is a red candle. The same way with here is you have a red candle, okay? Now we have that tweezer top. See how that situation is? Just the reverse of what we have here for the bullish trend, okay? Now here's the bearish engulfing, okay? We have a nice green update, and then you take that red candle, his makes a higher high, and just swallows the previous day candle, okay? Now evening star, just the reverse of the morning star. We have a nice green candle, and then you think it's going to rally up here. Then you get that indecision candle. That tells you that the next day you get that red candle. It's time to get out or to do a short ski, okay? Now, here, when we look at this here, it's just called an advanced block where you have a green candle, and then it just kind of slowly creeps up. Well, as it slowly creeps up here, eventually what it does, it just sells right on down, okay? Now, here we have this a bearish pattern, okay? So we have this all this green, red coming all the way down, coming on down. It's continuation of red, but eventually you get that green kind of a candle situation here, okay? Now, here's a perfect situation. Same way with here is a perfect bear flag situation. We have this red candle, and then you get some really green candles going here, and then when it can't get when close above, then she comes flying right on down, okay? So always look for those bear flags. And then right here, I say these are the neutral ones. This one we hit a lot of times. Yeah, I just call it indecision candle, okay? And then we have this gravestone, which could go either way because there is not a green or red. The same thing here with the old dragonfly, okay? So if you just take a look at this here, this is what we trade on the site basically is candlesticks. Now let's take a look here at some chart patterns. Okay, here we have bullish patterns, okay? So when we're looking at these patterns, okay? So when we see this situation here, this is a bullish candlestick, okay? So we have a nice good candle up, and then we have the second candle, but we're holding the top portion of that candle. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see it come all the way and down. You want to see it hold that top portion, and then she rallies right on up here. Here's another good one. Here's the old triple, where it gives you a chance. This is what natural gas does a lot of times. It come up, and it comes back down, but it holds the top portion of the candle, gives you a chance to get in. rally on up, then you can get out, then it gives you a chance to get in, and then you can go right on up here again, okay? Now, here's these hammers, okay? So you always want to watch these hammers, because these are like what I call bottoming tails. They come all the way on down, okay? And it looks like you're going, oh, I'm going to go short, and then it rallies right on up here. And the next day, it makes a higher high, tells you that you got to get long, okay? Now, here's an inverted hammer. So it comes on up here, but you notice that it still holds that greenish color, okay? In this case, it's yellow, but I say greenish color. Well, that tells you that as long as it holds that bottom, this can rally up much, much higher kind of a situation, okay? Now, here we have a nice good, they call it a dragon, a doji kind of a situation, where you just have this like this sideways up action, but it's creeping up very, very nicely, okay? Now, here's what we have is a perfect match is a bull flag, okay? So what you have is here, you rally on up here, and then we have this downtrending, it looks like a flag situation, okay? Once you break that downtrend, okay, that we have, then she just rallies up and goes much, much higher, okay? That's the same thing pretty much here. You can have that triangle where it comes right on down here, where it just looks like it's going to keep falling on down here, but once you break that trend line, then it's a really nice rally here. Now, this is just a falling wedge, which is basically, long as we're holding this bottom of this candle here, then once that wedge breaks, okay, to the upside, now it takes a little time. You got to be a little patient with this because you want it to break above that. Then once you go, then you can rally up very, very nicely, okay? Now, here's a perfect a pennant, okay? So it's just basically just a pennant, just like almost like a flag situation. And then once you break out above, then she can go very, very high, okay? Now, here we have one of these ascending triangles, okay? So what it is you get to a level here and where you just keep on making higher lows and higher highs all the way on up here. Very, very bullish kind of a situation, okay? Now, here we have these V bottoms. These I always got to watch here because a lot of times you say, oh, it's got to keep around and going. And then it reverses and then it shoots right back up here again, okay? Now, here we have is a cup and handle situation. Now, that's what we had pretty much on the gold. It didn't seem to play out that much, but I say, so here we have the cup, and then we have that handle, and then it usually sends that up a much, much higher, okay, situation here. Just hang on one second. I clicked the wrong thing. Okay, sorry about that, but yeah, you have that nice cup and handle, okay? That's very good. Now, here we have where we build this energy, okay? We have this sideways action, and then once we break off through the top of that, then she just rips up very, very nicely, okay? Now, here we have almost like a falling wedge, okay? Where you make a high, a lower high, a lower high. But once we start breaking up above that trend line, then she rallies up very, very nicely, okay? Now, here we have is a inverted head and shoulders pattern. See, there's your left shoulder, there's your head, and there's your right shoulder. Okay, so this is what it looks like in reality. But once we get that pattern and you break that neckline, then that's a good rally right on up here. Okay, so just check out these bullish patterns here because this is, like I say, this is an easy way to make money. Now we're going to look at the bearish patterns. Okay, here we have some reversal patterns. Okay, so this is basically what they're trying to show. This how is nice how it looks like on paper. Okay, but this is what it looks like in reality. Okay, so you'll come right on up here, and then we put in like a double top situation. Always watch for that. Then she comes sinking all that down. But then what you have to do is watch that neckline, okay? Because if it does, you crack that neckline, this is what happens to the old chart. It comes flying right on down. Now, here's a double bottom situation. This is a reversal pattern, where you come right on down, comes right back up here, and then it reverses where you crack the neckline and goes right back up here. But you always watch that neckline. When you come on here, see, we have this double bottom situation. Okay, you crack that double bottom, then we come up and we retest. If it can't break through that double bottom, then she's going to come flying down. Or it can be, once you crack above, then she goes right back up here, retest them highs, okay? Now, here's an inverse head and shoulders pattern. This is how it looks like on paper. See how nice and neat and clean? This is what we have in reality, okay? So, left shoulder, head, and right shoulder. And then once we lose that line, then she can come all the way down to retest the situation like we have here, okay? Now, here's an inverse head and shoulders pattern where we always look at your left shoulder, okay, your right shoulder, just like this is exactly what we had on crude oil, okay? Then we broke that neckline that I said, okay, it's going to go to that 200-day, and then we had the war premium, then she goes higher, okay? So this is like the extension of it where it comes right all the way up, comes all the way down, makes that head, comes back up, makes the other shoulder, and then once you crack through that neckline, then she goes up nicely, okay? Now, rising wedges, okay? So this is what it looks like, you know, on paper, it looks really, really nice. But this all looks in reality. It's just like a nice, good rising wedge all the way on up here. Now, a lot of times, when you get those rising wedges here, they can crack, you know, right down to the downside. So once you start losing that channel right there, then she can come right on down. Now, here's a falling wedge. So it's almost like a bear flag situation where you're falling all the way on down here. However, once it gets to the bottom there, and it breaks that line, that horizontal line here, comes right on up here, then you can have a nice good rally on up here, okay? So it's just the opposite of what we have on the old rising wedge, okay? Now, this is how a lot of times things will work out here. It comes right on up here, and then it just rallies right on up. And then you always say, oh, man, it could go. Now, this could break either way, okay? So you could break up here to a lot of times to the upside. But majority of these times when you have them rising wedges here, this is what happens. It comes to the downside. This here is more like a bull flag where you have that wedge and you're going down slowly. But when you crack that line, then we can take it right back up here, okay? So a lot of times here, you want to just check out these patterns here. These double tops work great. The double bottoms work great. The rising wedges here. And those head and shoulders, just like it worked on crude, worked out very, very nicely here. Now, again, when you look at these patterns, you say, oh, look how nice and neat and clean. But this is more of a reality pattern where it's not going to be so neat and clean. So you got to step back and take a look, you know, from your computer and say, well, okay, there's a left shoulder, there's a head, there's a right shoulder. Then if I lose that, boom, down she goes, and just the inverse over here, okay? So a lot of times it's not as clear as what they, you draw up, say, a perfect double top or a perfect head and shoulders kind of a pattern here. But I just want to show you something a little bit different today on patterns and on candlesticks here, okay? So again, I have this all in my playlist here if you want to trade, but anything that'll give you an edge in trading is what you really want to do, okay? So if you can say, hey, I can look at a pattern here. I can look for on the RSI, I can see a divergences, or you know what I'm saying? Or I can see momentum on the MACD here going one way or the other here. That's what you're looking for here. That's an easy way to make money. The key to trading is consistent money. Start on Monday, and then by the time you get to Friday, you're going to say, wow, look at all the cash I got here. But again, I don't care if you're trading, $1 million or if you're trading $100, okay? If you start off the day on a Monday and say, hey, I made $10, okay? Tuesday, I made $10. By the time you get to Friday, well, I got $50 I didn't have Monday, okay? Now, again, as you build that up here, then you can say, okay, I'm shooting for 500. I'm shooting for 1,000 a day. You know what I'm saying? And on and on and on. And then by the time you get to Friday, say, wow. But anything that can give you an advantage, and that's what I say, that's why I like trading the candlesticks, any kind of a chart patterns, but just step back. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just look at it and say, hey, what do I see in this chart? Okay. That's exactly what you want to do. Consistent money is the key to the game. Don't look at this stuff and say, oh, I'm going to get rich quick. I'm buying this. I'm going to be a zillionaire here. That doesn't work. Okay. That's like going to a casino and gambling. This is not gambling. This is trading. Okay. And there's a huge, huge difference. Calculated trading. Okay. Use stop losses. Don't be afraid. Hey, I lose X amount of dollars. Who cares? Okay. I am out of the trade. If it goes lower, I can always buy this up. Or, say a stock starts rallying here, you say, geez, I wish I had more shares. After it breaks, once it starts breaking upwards, you can always buy into it, add to your position, and buy on strength also. So I just want to give you just a few tips of today, and then I'll be back here after your pick close, and we'll take a look at Bitcoin, at gold, silver, crude oil, natural gases, and then we'll take a look here at the old indexes. Remember, trade what's in front of you, not what you want.